We did it.
Boys.
Production quality.
I may or may not have paid somebody $20 on Fiverr to do that for us.
Bargain.
Good morning, John. Anybody else out there in the comments? Leave a comment. Tell us the way to win everything. Cool.
Back-to-back Johns on the show. I just realized that.
Yeah.
It's a takeover. We're not here to take part.
Take
We're here to take over.
Cool. Welcome to the 5:00 Morning Show, the obnoxiously early Wicked Dicey show. We're your hosts, Korey, Miles, and Cam. If you're joining us for the first time, be sure to like and subscribe. We just hit 100 subscribers.
What?
So next stop, 1 million.
Where's that silver play button?
David Dobrik of Sigmar, something like that.
We're super official now.
Yeah, it's great. Love it. So joining us today is Jon Anderson, the one and only Jon Anderson, the winner of all of Adepticon, even the 40K event, and the Legion event, and the MCP event, all of it.
He won it all.
He just won it all with Ironweld.
Different Lumineth.
Yeah,
different
so golf claps there.
Different.
But for real, John won the best general at the Age of Sigmar event for Adepticon, which is great. I went last year. I didn't go this year, and I feel like Korey, Cameron, we didn't. None of us ended up going. We're probably planning it out next year, but. So yeah, I real quick anecdote for those who have never met John. John is a very talented, lovely individual, and I have my favorite anecdote is we were at ACO together, and I was losing all my games with Ironweld, and I went over and I was like, John, help me out. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he kind of like, I don't even know if you meant to coach me, but you kind of did. And I won my last 2 games. It was great. And so that was our first in-person interaction. And I've always appreciated that sense. And it just was a really helpful, kind of way to cap off that tournament in general. So
thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Just wanted to say that. Just wanted to share that. And another side note, John's having a little bit of video kind of clipping in and out. We're super aware of that. No worries there. He might kind of pop off the camera at some point, but yeah, thanks for joining us, Wicked Dicey crowd out in the ether space.
Woo.
Yay. So yeah, we have a little bit of a tight crunch today with timing because normal people lives. And so we just wanted to talk to John about the kind of going ins and outs of Adepticon, but we do want to really center in on the top 8 because the morning show, we just want to, top level competition here. And so we'll kind of go into what all that was and how it happened. So kick it off if you're ready. Tell us about all the secrets.
Yeah, maybe first, John, walk through what you brought for our lovely viewers in case they're living under a rock and don't follow.
So yeah, I'm actually just gonna turn my video off because I see it's getting worse. So goodbye, people of the internet.
We proved that you're actually you and not just a chatbot.
Correct. It's not a GPT and a kangaroo onesie, which was what I wore.
We have Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anytime that I'm going to go to a competitive event that I actually care about winning, I won't try to bring something that's super soft, intentionally at least. So I brought a very fun and interactive Lumineth list. It was 40 Sentinels, 15 Kangaroos, Techless, and then a Cathaler. Was rock solid. I mean, it does everything consistently, plays every matchup pretty well. I don't think you have any 80-20 matchups. You might have a 70-30 in something like wackadoodle like Skaven where they could be in a corner and then all of a sudden be in your face out of unbind range. But I think everything's mostly winnable. So yeah, it was Helen for the double shots for if they're within 6 inches in your shooting phase, which turns the Kangaroos into pretty scary ward killers, and that ended up actually playing out very well because in rounds 2 and 4 I played Death, so they're sweet ward saves. They just didn't get any, and then I was just picking people apart. So
Awesome.
Wait, can you explain that? Why they wouldn't for like? Because I'm kind of clueless.
I was 3 weeks younger when I realized that the kangaroos ignored ward saves, and I was like,
Well, that was the whole thing when they came out. Everyone's like, "Oh, this is gonna be so good," and then people are like, "Yeah, maybe it's not that good," and then it's like right back around to being, "Oh, they're really good again."
Yeah, it's
the war scroll hasn't changed at all. It's just people's perception of them.
Yeah, no, I actually definitely agree with that. The scariest part is that like you have such a volume of shots with Helen giving you double shots, and you combine what the kangaroos do with ignoring ward saves with the mortal wounds that the sentinels provide, and so you have this like very obnoxious stew of like ranged damage that can be tailored to fit whatever you're shooting into. So if you know something that's just got high threat density, or excuse me, high wound density, you just put sentinels into it. If you have something that's got like a 4+ ward save, you put the kangaroos into it. And if you have anything else, Techless just kills it in the hero phase.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right.
Huh.
So yeah, and so of course the sentinels have 30-inch threat range, move 6, potentially 42 if they get speed of Hished from Techless, which happened almost every game because everybody tries to account for 36-inch threat range, and if you want to account for 42-inch threat range, I mean, to Korey's point, you might as well be playing on the Legion tables in the hall next door.
Yeah.
And so, at some point, like it's almost this defeatist, or not defeatist, but it's a defeated mentality where they're just like, well, shit, I can't hide anywhere, so why try hide at all?
We got a question for you, John, for later on, a recommendation for a 30 kangaroo list, but we can circle back to that at the end if we have time.
I do like
kangaroos.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I do like kangaroos. I would play 30 kangaroos if I owned 30 kangaroos. If I owned 30 kangaroos, I think I'd be on a list for some government agency, though, and they would assume I'm just actually psychotic, though. But,
Yeah, it's like when you're trying to make bombs and you have to go around to like different hardware stores getting just the next glycerin for each of them. You know what I mean? Like you have to go pick up one box.
I actually don't know what you mean, but please.
No, I totally know what you mean, Cameron. From all the times I've built freaking
that's like what Legion players would say, right? Like, sorry,
not too much fertilizer from any one hardware.
Oh God. All right, so I'm afraid.
I'm already banned from Kmart, guys. I mean,
allegedly.
You're like carrying around like fertilizer and kangaroos at the same time.
I'm trying to grow kangaroos. That's what the fertilizer's for.
That's funny. Were you a 1-drop or?
Yeah, it was a natural 1-drop.
Anytime
you're going to play something that's like hard control or a variant of a castle style build thereof, you'll want to generally be trying to dictate who goes first.
So you're obviously typically you're probably giving them first turn, right?
Yeah. So I'll just measure like what all their threat range is and just annoyingly deploy at like 0.1 outside, and that's actually something that I'll definitely talk about in when we actually get to the top 8.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you like Age of Sigmar isn't a game with like hidden information like Magic the Gathering is. Like in Magic, like you obviously can't just be like, hey, what's in your hand? Like you have to cast Thoughtseize or Duress or something to see. But in Age of Sigmar, like all of our resources are on the table, so it's kind of like, well, you can't just be like, ha, look what I got instead. And everything is very much like, I can go this far, I can charge a max of 12, unless I'm Kragnos, then I can charge a max of 18, and you can deploy in such a way using terrain and whatnot that you'll be largely out of interaction range. So
yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So you did in the normal or before the top 8, you went 4-1, only dropping one game in was it round 5, right, against Caleb?
Yeah, correct.
Was that just because it seems like a matchup where every single time you cast a spell, which you obviously want to be doing with Lumineth, there's a diminishing return because then you're just empowering the other person, especially with like the Guild of Summoners, which I think he was running, right?
Yeah, he was running Guild of Summoners. So if it could have actually gone more of a worst case scenario for me, or best, perfect storm for Caleb, because round 5 we played Lurkers Below.
Yep.
I don't know why we played Lurkers Below in round 5. That's usually like a round 3 mission where you like separate going into day 2. But we did. That's fine. And he was playing the Kronspine the Kronspine Guild of Summoners list, and so like it was a scrum in the middle, and he had a level 3 incarnate the entire game. So it was just kind of like, fun. Yeah, I don't get to complain about not having fun though when I'm playing Lumineth. That's like when you register the list, there's a little like bylaw at the bottom. You'd be like, I forfeit this complaint, and you're just like, okay,
yeah. You're like, it's like accepting cookies, but you're like acknowledging NPE. Like,
yeah, exactly. You're just like, if it happens to me, you do not get to complain about it. Like, it's
How is
just
level 3? What did it eat?
So the way that that Caleb's list works is that he will throw portals out on, I don't know, a 15 after he gets another or a 14 once he gets another chicken out. And what he'll do is he'll just set the portals up in such a way that they will be directly in range of, or just close enough to the incarnate that the incarnate can use its monstrous action to eat the portals and level up. He'll either use the portals or he'll use the little squiggly sigil of Zinch that casts on like a 6.
Yeah.
So most of the time you pretty reliably you'll be able to level up, and so it can functionally never die because of how the Crown Spine rules work. Or it can only go down one level.
Is it a wild spell or something? I'm sorry, I'm not.
Yeah. So he binds it to a Magister, and then the Magister will kill itself by casting 2 spells. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I guess maybe it goes to Harbor Freight and then it just doesn't come back. I don't know.
Yep.
So once the Magister kills itself and the Incarnate goes wild, it can now run in charge, and it treats friendly models as if they were hostile, and so you can feed it. You can feed the beast effectively with your endless spells. And the issue is that like I can auto unbind one endless spell with Techless, of course, but if I'm auto unbinding like an Umbral Spell Portal so that he can't feed the Incarnate, then he's getting all of his other offensive spells off, which is a coin flip if I can stop it or not, which is fine. I don't mind making that coin flip. The real problem is that he does have 2 endless spells, so I'm gonna have to fight him for the second. And so if I do, then it's things can get kind of hairy. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, like having it in the middle was always a challenge. I will say that going into the match, and this was something that happened before top 8 because of we had in the pack. It was in the pack that best overall and second best overall would be receiving the golden tickets to go to the finals in Atlanta. Once I saw that I had received such a low pain score, I knew that I was dead to best overall and second best overall. So I actually forfeited round 5, which was super not popular because we were table 1. So we played it out anyways, but I told Caleb, I was just like, because I have a tremendous amount of respect for Caleb. Like we were both on the stage at LVO for our best in faction, just not even like 2 months ago. Literally, it was 2 months ago. And so the issue was that I asked the TO and like we explained this, or he explained it to me that if I won, that I was not in the running for best overall or second best overall or best order because all of these were composite scores, and by winning, all I would be doing was taking Caleb out at the knees. So there was no like my ethos of just being a competitive player. I was just like, there's no reason that I would do that to somebody. I just like I would that just wouldn't sit right with me if I did that to a friend.
When you say taking him out at the knees, I'm sorry, I don't follow. And I'm for the audience in case somebody doesn't quite get it.
No, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. So Caleb has a beautifully painted army. If anybody hasn't seen it, like all of his disciples of Zinch look like they just came straight out of Santa's factory.
Oh, it's brilliant. No, it's lovely. It's super awesome.
So he was in the running for best painted. So because his hobby score was so high and we were both 4-0 going into the last round, the real issue was that both tables 2, 3, and the pair down with the Heartbreaker in table 4, all 6 of those people had a higher hobby score than me. So it didn't matter if I won, because if any of those people win, then they will be above me for best overall. So functionally, the only path to a golden ticket that I had at Adepticon would be if tables 2, 3, and 4 all simultaneously had like a stroke and I had to be rushed to the hospital. That would be the only way that I would actually be able to. And obviously, of course, we would never want something like that to happen. So clearly it was like, well,
Cameron might want that to happen. We've learned, but
we just played it out and had some fun. The highlight of the actual match with Caleb was that I said I was going to charge Techless into a Lord of Change because it had like 3 wounds left. And he looks me dead in the face and he was like, "Hey, John." I was like, "What's up, buddy?" He goes, "No balls, you won't charge Techless into my level 3 Incarnate." And I was like, "What did you say to me?" He says, "No balls." And I was like, "Charge the Incarnate." So I charged a level 3 incarnate with Techless, and I took like 13 damage or something like that.
Ouchies.
Yeah, but let it never be said that somebody said no balls to me and I didn't
Yeah.
do it. So I have my pride.
So Dave said in the comments, what do people think about the golden ticket stuff? And I know there's stuff that we don't want to mention.
A lot of feelings about it.
Yeah.
Most of which is, personal preference. Adepticon is, at the end of the day, it is a hobby event. It is, if you're looking for the premier competitive, I'm going to get like 5 of the hardest games of my life. Look at Everwinter, look at LVO,
Woo.
look at ACO,
Hey.
look at those kind of events. Yeah, of course. No, I'm serious. It's even better if you actually don't interpret the Skinnery Enlightener rule spell wrong. But that's water under the bridge.
We live and we learn. Yeah.
We live and we learn, exactly. Adepticon is at its core a hobby event, and that's the reason that hobby was weighted so high. Like in the pack, like general play, like how well you do was 32%, and then hobby was 26. So I mean, like it was massively weighted for hobby. So I mean, at the end of the day, it was the golden tickets were distributed to who Adepticon wanted to distribute them to, and like it or leave it, that's how they run their event, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, good on them for sticking with the theme and going for it. I mean, obviously that's good. So
well, I'm just happy Charlie got his golden ticket finally.
Yeah. Going to the chocolate factory.
So who got the 2 golden tickets?
So Caleb Balcher's got one,
Okay.
And then Duncan Bills, a gentleman from Indiana. I think he's South Bend or in that general.
What was Duncan running?
He was also playing Lumineth. All of us filthy Hoosiers, we like making sure that everybody has a very enjoyable game. Clearly.
Clearly.
His list was a little different though. We talked about it briefly when we were at Adepticon. Like I think he only had like 1 pack of Sentinels, and then like a Lore Seeker. I think he had some weird tech choices.
I love the Lore Seeker.
Yeah,
my
like
favorite.
He had some weird choices because he didn't have any endless spells that he's gonna like try and vomit right out in front of you with the Lore Seeker. But I mean, it worked very well for him. So good on him.
Cool.
Nice.
So that was the 4-1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of got into top 8.
Yeah.
Right?
So they posted the official top 8. I was in 9th, and then Caleb came up to me and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna drop." He was in first place, and so he dropped out of top 8. He's like, "I'm gonna drop so that you can get into top 8, so you can play for Best Warlord." And I was like, "Thanks, man, I appreciate that." Because Caleb wanted to play with his brother and some of his friends in the teams event.
In the team tournament, yeah.
Right. And so, Caleb told me, he was just like, "Hey, man, I got what I wanted. I know you didn't get what you wanted," which I wanted the golden ticket, of course. He was like, "But,
wow,
like,
what a stand-up gent."
Right, exactly. See, like, that's the
God.
thing is, like, that's honestly, that's one of the things that bugs me the most that I see. This is such a rabbit trail that if I had time, I would go into. But, like, I dislike that when I hear, very casual folks say that competitive players are just a bunch of like scummy, angle shooty. They're going to give you the worst game of your life, and then like you actually like talk to those people, and then they're like actually just fantastic human beings.
Yeah.
There
Like,
is
Caleb could have played for Best Warlord. Like he could have played for Best Warlord, and he could have won it, and he could have walked away with like all of the prizes. He could have, but he walked up to me and he was just like, "Hey man, listen, I got what I wanted, and I know you didn't get what you wanted." He's like, "But I'm going to give you the best opportunity that you can to get something out of this." And so
yeah.
But
I feel like a lot of times, like the misconception with like super like competitive players are like, and I'm not intentionally being an asshole here, but I'm just going to say it, like a lot of casual people don't know the rules as well as someone whose like main goal in life is to win like Adepticon, LVO, stuff like that, right? So like a lot, and I found a lot of like negative experiences have happened when I've corrected someone's like, actually, that's not how this rule works. It works this way. And then they get pissed because like, well, for a couple reasons, right? Like they're being called out, which no one ever likes to be called out, but like you have, if you know the right way it's played, you have to correct it right in the moment. And then that I think leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. And instead of them taking it on themselves to get better and actually learn the rules, they just go, well, all like competitive players are just win at all cost assholes, right? So that's my take on it. But yeah, to your point, I've never had with someone that's like equally as competitive as me and never had a bad experience.
I also wonder though, like devil's advocate here is like, there's probably a rung of competitive players that aren't necessarily like top level competitors that that like are in that middle area.
Oh yeah.
And they're the ones probably playing the lower competitors more often.
True.
And they want to win, and they'll win at all costs. And I think there's like a tier that happens when you start to like you're very comfortable with your rules and you're very like really in like you just know things that like you start like relaxing.
Right. Yeah, there's a bell curve for that for Magic players. That's like, the start of the bell curve is just like, hey, I'm here to have fun. Let's play some cards, have some fun, and then there's a giant bell curve in the middle, just like I'm gonna win everything, and rules lawyer everything, and then it like dips off at like the highest level players.
Yeah. And then again, right, like you said, like then it kind of tapers off, and it's the happy go lucky.
Yep.
So, yeah. I think that's very true.
Yeah, those mid-level tables are like when you're at the end of the event, you're like 3-1 or whatever. Those are the worst games.
Dude.
Yeah.
Being 3-1 going into round 5 is like the worst fucking thing in the world, because you're like, you want that 4-1 and your opponent wants that 4-1, and it's just like, especially if you get paired into someone that you're like friends with, it's just like but
kind of going back, so I guess Caleb dropped out, and you had your chance to compete, and so you went into top 8. What was your first? You had 3 games total in the top 8.
So we played 3 games in top 8. First pairing was against the real boogeyman, which was Gloomspite.
Hey.
Which I was very confident that was going to be a very quick exit, and I was like, fantastic. I was like, I get to hit the road, and this was great, and I can go back to Indiana and see my wife and my cat. But unfortunately, the dice just weren't there. I'd like to say that I was just like a massive outplay, and on one player's part, or a colossal blunder on another. But honestly, it just came down to dice.
Who was the opponent?
Was that Dan Riker?
Yes, it was Riker.
Where's he from? Does anybody know?
I don't know where he's from, but I had one of my Tennessee guys. He was like, "Hey, I saw you played my buddy Dan," and I was like, "Oh yeah."
We'll just assume he's from the Dankhold for now.
Yeah, Dan from Dankhold.
Yeah.
Do you, out of curiosity, because I've been playing a lot of Gits, what was his like? It was like a bunch of hoppers, or what was it like?
He had the 36 break of Squig Herd. He had 10 Boingrot Bounders. He had Grit Grax, Loon Court with Grit Grack.
Yeah, the fight on death.
Yep. He had a Sneaky Snufflers. He had Skagrot, and he had a Troll Boss.
Oh, okay. So he had Jeremy's list, basically, is kind of what like Jeremy Vessier had a very similar.
Yeah, correct. It was very close.
Yeah.
The one thing that I do remember when I was playing Dan is that on turn 1 I put the portals out. He was like, Storm of Searing Light, and I was like, no, Crippling Vertigo. I'm gonna Crippling Vertigo your Squigs. And as soon as I was like Crippling Vertigo, he was like, well, I was hoping that maybe you just somehow got into top 8 and didn't realize how to beat Gits. And I'm just like, oh no, I have a mutual friend that waterboards me with Gloomspite Gits at least twice a week at 7:30 in the morning, and he's just like, here, John. And I was like, all right, I'm fine.
Remind me what that does. I've had it used on me, and I have like a weird feeling in the back of my head that it's real negative. But...
So Crippling Vertigo, I'll roll against your Bravery, and if I beat your Bravery, you can't move. It's effectively Be'lakor, and the list has 2 Be'lakor spells, and so what you do, the gimmick is that you teleport the Cathaller into range so that she can redistribute the -1 Bravery after you eat an Aether Quartz. And so you'll eat an Aether Quartz on the kangaroos, give the -1 Bravery to the Squigs, and roll 2 dice and hope you beat a 3.
Yeah.
Or a 4, whatever their Bravery.
And then don't get unbound, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you're casting on 10s, it's pretty reliable that you're gonna get it off. So.
Oh man, that's brutal.
Yeah, and so the 36 Squig Herd just sat in his objective, which blocked some of his models from even moving because they were just strung out a little bit.
I've been finding that with Gits, like the one problem I do have is like everything getting caught behind my lines.
Yep.
It's a lot of bodies to remember that you can't fly over them.
Yep.
It's problematic.
So 10 people behind their own models.
Yes, that is yes. Yeah. But yeah, so like I locked the Squig Herd up, and then I just shot off the Boingrot Bounders, and then at that point, I think I doubled him into 2, and then I cast Storm of Light through because Cathaller was in range to put her spell on the Squigs instead. And that was when Dan was just like, dude, I can't do this. I'm sorry, man. I was like, I get it, dude. I'm sorry, dude. It sucks.
Yeah. So that was your first one.
Yeah, and then I played Jeff Campbell Crawley. He was playing Ents, Oakenbrow or Hallow.
It was like a bunch of tree lords, right? It was like
yeah.
like
It was a
glanced
bunch of
at that
tree lords.
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of funny. It's a rematch. We played at Columbus Brewhammer with almost identical lists not like a month ago.
Yeah.
So he was just like, aha, I got my chance to get revenge. And then I kid you not, his tree lord was like out of range of Teclis, and then like his tree lord ancient perils, and so his tree lord ancient didn't do anything. And then Drycha, I think Drycha perilled as well, or she just didn't roll anything for her Spiteswarm Hive thing, or for her butterflies. Then I auto unbound the Spiteswarm Hive, and so Jeff was like, "Well, this is just awful." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm sorry." And so
we have Dave is like our kind of local Sylvaneth
resident tree man.
He, like every time I feel like every time I play him, like it's like it's like 50-50. Like he hits every spell, everything, or like it's just like the Spiteswarm doesn't go off. It's like and the whole thing's ruined. And damn. So it's funny to see that. I mean, not funny. It's just like, wow, crap. Sorry, man. Yeah. So
we had a fun game. I played Dave on on Wednesday.
Don't roll the one.
He had a few moments where just a bunch of ones were rolled, and we laughed at it. And he actually did an awesome job clawing back from what looked like a complete shutout. So he did great.
Did you? Who won that game this week?
Ended up 25-23 to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he cursed me. I had to charge his Spiteswarm Revenants or whatever. I needed a 3 to charge. No, I needed a 4 to charge. Rolled a 3, and then he's like, "You're gonna re-roll into it too," and I did. So I have zero sympathy for his dice.
Yeah. Cool. Right. So you took out Sylvaneth.
You chopped down the trees.
Chopped down the trees. The super quick note for any Lumineth players is that like don't split your shots. Just focus fire the trees. Just like take one tree down. Just if you take one down at a time, you'll be okay.
Because that's like what, like 400 plus points.
It's
like,
it's something right around that. And
like cool, did enough.
230 for the people keeping score at home. Yeah. Yep. No, but Dirthu's 350.
Oh, is
yeah.
it
In the Ancients 330. Yeah. So the normal tree lords are cheaper, but like the special ones are a little pricey.
Yeah, and that's just the way that you get around it is just focus fire one tree down at a time, and as soon as they start losing their knights and their titans effectively at that point, then you'll be able to play objectives and win the game. So
gotcha. Cool. And
then last
final countdown match.
Yep. Played Rob Mulshine on Big Wog. Had a lot of curiosity going into this matchup because when I saw his list, I even asked some of Korey, my mutual friends. I was just like, I need somebody to explain this because I don't know what this list does, and which is a very terrifying feeling for somebody like me that plays way too much that he should. When I see a list and I'm just like, I don't know what this does. I'm clearly missing something. Exactly. Yeah, Rational Nihilist. I was just like, I don't know how this game went. Or I was like, I don't know how this list wins games.
It was like a bunch of it was like pigs and Ardboys or something like that.
Right? It was Squig and Ardboys.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So in a Snatcha boss.
Yeah, he had a Snatcha boss on Swamp Monster. He had Gobsprack. He had Skagrot. He had Squigs, Ardboys, Bolt Boys, Gorgruntas, and
what a list.
And then a foot boss, or a on foot mega boss. Excuse me. Yeah. It was just like I'm sure Korey remembers this, but I asked, I'm just like I'm missing something. It's like I don't know what this does, and I need somebody to please explain it.
It was like it looks. I mean, like not to knock him because obviously he got to the final round of Adepticon, but it looks like someone was just like, all my models in a shoebox. We're going to Acon.
We're going to Adepticon.
Yeah. That's awesome. Those are some of the best lists ever.
It was. Yeah. I mean, he got to the finals for a reason. So I mean, it was just it was a very it was Taserface Nihilist. Yeah, it was the Wargok Prophet doing the Sam Jackson stare at people probably. But
can you do that per turn, or is that just one time ability?
No, you can do it every time or every one of your turns. The issue is that that's a big source of their damage, and that with the last FAQ they ruled Fueled by Gurish Rage to be a ward save. So if you kill him with kangaroos, he does not get Fueled by Gurish Rage because their damage ignores wards.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you never get the opportunity to take Fueled by Gurish Rage, and so he gets very sad very quickly.
Oh man, I'm not caught up to date. That makes total sense to put
Yep.
Girlish Rage on that guy.
Yeah, so he just like stares at people, dies after
Yeah.
doing like 60 million mortal wounds, comes back on a 3+, then you just keep doing it, and so
Wow.
you know.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, it was a game. I mean, it wasn't easy by any means. I mean, the Sludge Raker beast having 3-inch range, just like being able to pick up stuff left, right, and center,
Yeah.
was definitely not a comfortable position to be in. But coming full circle to the point that I made earlier, like like when I moved up into bottom of turn 1. Excuse me, my cat is wanting some attention. When I moved up at the bottom of turn 1, I moved up and I distinctly told him, I was like, I'm going to be at 23.1 from your Wargog Prophet. And he was like, oh, okay. And I was like, because that's going to be accounting for an auto 6 on his run, and you have a 12-inch reach for your Sam Jackson stare. So even if you win priority into 2, you won't be able to stare at anything I care about.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, okay, sure enough. Or he was like, sure, fair enough, that's fine. So I was like, all right, fine, cool. So he won prio into 2, crashed my front lines, took off some kangaroos. And then like the power of hell, and like Madigan Mason, she was our like full-time TO or full-time head judge. Table boss. Yeah, thank you. That I was looking for the word for it. But yeah, she was table boss. And she even came up to me after the game and she was just like, all right, I knew in theory like what the Helen list could do, but watching you do it was just like another thing altogether, because each pack of 20 Sentinels is 39.
Yeah, 39 shots.
Yeah.
19 times 2, 38 shots. Yeah, there are 38 shots, mortals on 5s and 6s. I mean, it's like
it's a lot.
It's like
I was gonna say it's effectively like the same output as like the 30 block with Lambent Light, what it used to do, but now you have 2 of them because
now you have 2 of them.
Yeah.
And they can be in 2 different places on the table instead of being locked to like one area as a 30 brick would be. So yeah, it was definitely a game. Rob was a good opponent. He was stand up about the whole thing.
Nice. Very good.
But
I like this Rob guy. I don't know who he is, but he seems like he's got a fun list.
Rob, if you're out there, get in touch with us. Email us, hello@wickeddicey.com.
There you go. We plugged it. We plugged the email. We did it.
It was actually pretty cool because he gave me a compliment in our game, because the squigs were kind of like a curiosity to me. I'm just like, why do you have just random groups of squigs? Like, I know squigs are good, but they're good in Gloomspite. I was like, I don't know why he's doing. And then I put the pieces together because he had Egomaniac on his Swamp Beast, and so he would shed a blade of wounds to the squigs, let them run from battle shock. Squigs gone crazy, do mortal wounds when they flee, and then rally them back. Or excuse me, not rally them back, but then squig herder them back, and then just
right.
Egomaniac's like a bodyguard rule, Miles.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how the list wins.
Yeah.
The Snatcher Beast just goes in and pounds face, sheds wounds, and then you get zapped. And then the squigs just come back.
Yeah, it's 14 wounds on a 4-up save. So then when you have your like 4-up pass off, it becomes actually absurdly tanky.
Yeah.
So that's like a really cool techie play.
Yep. The caveat to all of that is that you get to attack at all. And so when I put Darkness of the Soul on him and he has like Bravery 5, I was like, aha. Well.
Yeah.
That's going to sit there and do not a lot. Which was ultimately what was kind of the nail in the coffin, was that I locked his beast down. I just retreated out of it, and everything else was dead at that point. And so he was like, dang, this sucks. The real MVP though for the entire event was the Rune of Petrification, the endless spell from the Lumineth book. I don't know what's going to happen in the battle scroll, which is true. I understand that people don't believe me. I'm sorry. I don't actually know. But that spell, that endless spell needs to go up a little bit.
Yeah.
It started at 40 points and then it went to 60 points.
That spell has won
still
game.
too cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good transition, because I know we're just about at time. So I guess everyone, what are your bold predictions for battle scroll? John, we'll kick you off. Like for Lumineth, what do you think is going to happen?
I think that
a new book for Lumineth.
Yes, I think next Friday they'll announce a new book for Lumineth, changing nothing and giving us everything. No, I think that the Helen subfaction will get brought back into line a little bit more. It's already received 1 nerf. I think that there's a very healthy way. We're all getting laid. Exactly.
Yeah, we're all getting laid in the new battle scroll.
More like
Hell
laid
yeah.
out. No, I think there's a very healthy way that you can address a lot of the potency from the Helen list and that is just locking their bonus shots to be hurricane keywords only, which means that it would only be given to the foxes and then the kangaroos. So the sentinels won't be able to get double shots. And like Korey just said, you wouldn't be able to force multiply 300 points into something like 600 twice. So I think they would lock that to just the hurricane keyword. I think that's a very healthy change. And I don't know of a Lumineth player anywhere that would say that that's bad.
I will.
I'm sure. You could probably bump Teclis up in points, but the problem is that the entire book is built around him. So I worry that that would kind of invalidate a lot of the book. So I would probably say for this scroll, my bet would be just the Helen change.
Okay. Cool.
And maybe some endless, and maybe the rune going up to 80 points, because I still think that the rune is fine at 80 points.
Yeah, I have won whole games off of that 140 point model.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yes.
KO.
You're not allowed to take it in KO anymore, you little cheater.
Oh wow, okay, so there you go. I haven't read the book enough to know that,
Yeah.
but yeah, at the time.
Miles, what's your bold prediction for
everyone
for
knows
Gits?
it. Everyone knows it. Squigs are gotta go up, but that doesn't matter because there's still so many other good things.
Well, I mean, yeah, every squigless starts 105 points down, and you're just like, this is balanced.
Yeah, I hope that they, if they put Squigs up, then drop 2 or 3 other things that are getting just a little bit not enough play, right? I think there's some really fun things they could do with the points here. Because again, like every time I create a list, I'm like, well, I wish I could also just do this other amazing thing. And so I'm not necessarily worried about it. Unless they just like butcher the whole thing. So I don't know. So yeah, Squigs up.
Cool. Cam, what's happening in Star Wars Legion? No,
Squigs
Cruel
up.
Boys. Cruel Boys or Feck? What do you
What's
think?
happening at Harbor Freight, Cam?
Do you think if they're gonna hand out any buffs?
Yeah, any
Probably
candy?
not.
No.
Are we kidding?
Yeah.
No,
Boys are actually going to go up in points.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bolt Boys up.
Oh, I mean, honestly, like realistically, yes, that should happen, but like
Yeah.
only when the rest of the book gets better. So please don't do that in the interim. Otherwise, that's a sad day.
What
I
about
don't
you,
know.
Korey?
What about me? I don't know. Slaves to Darkness.
Chosen up. Oh, please
No,
go
I mean,
up.
like Chosen are like I used to be very much on the Chosen train, and now it's just like they're just slow. I mean, they hit, but and they do terrible things. But maybe they could go up a little bit, right? I think some of our characters are going to go up in points because of just like the sub-faction abilities. Like probably Chaos Sorcerer Lord probably goes up to like 130 or 140, something like that. Just because if you're in Kabbalist, you get a lot of value out of the 3d6 casting. Yeah, I think that's like immediately like what comes to note. Like things that are at risk, right? Chosen, Knights, Vanguard. So maybe Warriors go down in points. That'd be cool to see because like when you're looking at Chosen versus Warriors, you're like, why would I take these when I could take Chosen, right? But awesome.
Sweet.
I think that's a good stopping point for today.
Hey, John, thanks for joining us. That was awesome.
Yeah, happy to. Just let me know whenever you need a blank box to sit here and talk. Happy
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually have a friend we invited on the show, and we were like, "You ready to join us?" And he was like, "I don't have a webcam." I was like, "What? Get a webcam."
Yeah.
But it's fine. No worries. We'll get there. Again,
We should
27
get like a
episodes.
visualizer, one of those music visualizers from like.
It'd be
Yeah,
really-
like
Windows Media Player?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. Thanks. Like and subscribe and do all that thing. Leave a comment on the YouTube video when it pops out. And have a good Friday, everybody.
Yeah.
Like drink coffee and get a beer tonight if you drink that kind of not coffee. So
Check
don't go
us
to
out at
Harbor Freight.
Ironweld.
And if you see Cameron going into a department store or a hardware store, just let me know.
Just walk the opposite direction.
Just for spray
Leave the
paint,
premises.
just for models, I swear.
All right.